You know how conservatives and Republicans kept asking why Edward Snowden didn't just go up the chains and report the widespread, internalized, institutional abuses to his superiors at the NSA? You know how so-called liberals and former President Obama said that Snowden should have done the exact same thing?
My preference, and I think the American people's preference, would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws, a thoughtful, fact-based debate that would then lead us to a better place.
President Trump has gone even further, saying that he is a total traitor.
I think he's a total traitor, and I would deal with him harshly. And if I were president, Putin would give him over. I would get along with Putin. I've dealt with Russia.
Well, as we long have heavily suspected, a new excellent report from the Daily Beast has found out that you can't just go up the chain to your superiors to report on mass constitutional abuses within their agency, because they're not going to listen to you, and then they'll try to cover up the fact that they didn't listen to you after. The nation's top intelligence watchdog put the brakes on the report last year that uncovered whistleblower reprisal issues within America's spy agencies, the Daily Beast has learned. The move concealed a finding that the agencies, including the CIA and the NSA, were failing to protect intelligence workers who report waste, fraud, abuse, or criminality up the chain of command. The investigators looked into 190 cases of alleged reprisal in 6 agencies and uncovered a shocking pattern. In only one case out of the 190 did the agencies find in favor of the whistleblower, and that case took 742 days to complete. Other cases remained open longer. One complaint from 2010 was still waiting for a ruling, but the framework was remarkably consistent. Over and over and over again, intelligence inspectors ruled that the agency was in the right and the whistleblowers were almost always in the wrong. The report was near completion following a 6-month-long inspection run out of the Intelligence Community Inspector General Office. It was aborted in April by the new acting head of the office, Wayne Stone, following the discovery that one of the inspectors was himself a whistleblower in the middle of a federal lawsuit against the CIA, according to former ICIG officials. Stone shut down the whistleblowing inspection just days after taking over for Charles McCullough III, who served as the Intelligence Community Inspector General from the day the office was founded in 2010 until his retirement in March of last year. Rob Johnson, the former deputy ICIG under McCullough, confirmed the findings to the Daily Beast in an interview. And by the way, all of this is supposed to be prohibited under the law. In 2012, President Obama signed PPD-19 into law, which prohibited the NSA and the CIA and other intelligence agencies from punishing workers who reported things up the chain. It's still in effect under President Trump, technically. The law also requires that the Office of Inspector General carry out an investigation when a worker complains about retaliation, and these kinds of investigations basically never happened. Shocker. And in addition, PPD-19 does not protect contractors, like Edward Snowden. So let's continue using Edward Snowden as an example, because I think that it's obviously the key whistleblower case of our time, especially when we're talking about these intelligence agencies. In an August 2013 press conference, President Obama said this about PPD-19. If the concern was that somehow this was the only way to get this information out to the public, I signed an executive order well before Mr. Snowden leaked this information that provided whistleblower protection to the intelligence community for the first time. So there were other avenues available for somebody whose conscience was stirred and thought that they needed to question government actions. Side note, remember when we had a president who didn't speak like a 3rd grader and use complete sentences? Very nice to read there. But what Obama said there was incredibly misleading. The document Obama signed, a presidential policy directive, PPD-19, does not cover government contractors. Snowden was once employed by the CIA, but he was working for Booz Allen Hamilton, a private firm with a national security agency contract, when he released details of the massive surveillance program to the Washington Post and the Guardian in Britain. So that point made by President Obama is null and void. And what about the "he should have gone to Congress" excuse? Congress just voted overwhelmingly to extend mass surveillance powers to Trump, Not even Obama, Trump, who most Democrats believe, with good reason, is a tyrannical, nutty, impulsive, mean man-child. That's how deep the approval of these programs run, and how little most members of Congress care about the complaints of whistleblowers within their own institutions. And again, continuing with the Edward Snowden example, the third most used slander of his motivations is, well, if he did nothing wrong, why didn't he stay in the United States to face trial and face prosecution? Maybe because under President Obama, the Espionage Act was used more times than it had been under any other administration. And when you're charged with the Espionage Act, you know what? You're not allowed to say that what you did was in the public interest. You can't use that in your defense at all. So the government says that you've damaged national security in your trial. So when you're tried in court, the jury has to take that really on its face and never question it. You can't use Snowden's defense in that kind of Espionage Act trial. I think part of this lack of understanding in the public is that people have this romantic vision of our national security agencies, that they're all like Carrie Mathesons looking for the truth and wearing wigs and trying to save the world. But what they really are institutions, often deeply conservative institutions who are motivated by structural incentives. And one of those structural incentives is very simple. Do the best that you can at your job and you will get promoted. And what are their jobs? To implement the policy of their agency, like the NSA spying program. And whistleblowers aren't seen as grand heroes. They are seen as people just not doing their jobs within that institution. And that goes to the crux of it, in my opinion. People just cannot understand the power of institutions when they're discussing politics in America. Like, when we're talking about corruption and institutionalized corruption, we're talking about the system, not the character of one person, even someone like Hillary Clinton. We weren't talking about her, the system. And when we're criticizing the NSA or the CIA, we're not attacking the individuals, not the character of the person, we're attacking the system. And that's because systems and institutions are the most powerful, which is why, as the Daily Beast reports wonderfully, whistleblowers are shunned and covered up and then forgotten, because they are a cog in this machine, and the machine has to run smoothly. These intelligence officials are often very brave, but they are not all these individualistic heroes under an Ayn Rand system fighting for justice with their own moral code like in the movies. No, they are a part of an institution, and when that institution incentivizes going along with government policy, most people are going to go along with government policy, which means that they are not going to embrace whistleblowers with warm, open arms. And the Daily Beast report showed that.